Most people believe that when they buy a luxury watch, they're making a smart long-term decision. They think they're paying for quality, heritage, and something that will hold its value. But the truth is, many high-end watches lose money fast, and the industry survives by selling carefully crafted stories instead of reality. Today, we're breaking down the biggest misconceptions in the luxury watch world. By the end of this video, you'll understand what's really happening behind the scenes and why so many buyers end up disappointed. If you like honest breakdowns like this, make sure to support the channel. And let's get started. Luxury mechanical watches are no longer tools. They're status symbols. Brands don't just sell timekeeping anymore. They sell identity, prestige, and exclusivity. And to do that, they rely on powerful narratives that sound convincing but don't always reflect how things really work. One of the biggest myths is the idea of pure craftsmanship. Many brands want you to imagine that your watch was built entirely by hand by a master craftsman in Switzerland, carefully shaping every tiny part. They use words like in-house and handmade to support this image and justify extreme prices. But in reality, those terms are often flexible and vague. In-house sounds impressive, but it doesn't have a strict definition. Historically, most major brands worked with specialized movement manufacturers. That was normal for decades. Even famous names relied on outside suppliers to build their mechanisms. Only in recent years did many companies start producing more parts internally. Not because it was better, but because suppliers limited access. When that happened, brands had no choice but to invest in their own production. To justify the higher costs, they created a narrative that in-house automatically meant superior quality. Today, some companies use movements from sister firms inside the same corporate group and still call them in-house. Others own partial shares in movement makers that supply multiple brands. The exclusivity is often exaggerated. The same applies to handmade. True hand-built watches exist, but they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and take years to complete. Most luxury watches are produced using advanced machinery in highly controlled factories. Humans mainly assemble, inspect, and finish the parts. Calling that handmade is more about marketing than reality. Another major misconception is national origin. The Swiss-made label is one of the most powerful tools in watch marketing. It gives buyers confidence and suggests unmatched quality. But most people don't understand how this label actually works. To qualify, only 60% of manufacturing costs need to come from Switzerland. That refers to expenses, not physical components. This allows brands to produce many parts in lower-cost countries and still meet the requirement by counting research, design, marketing, and assembly done in Switzerland. So a watch can legally be labeled Swiss-made, even if much of its physical construction happened elsewhere. Some highly respected manufacturers have openly criticized this system. A few have even removed the label from their watches, arguing that it no longer represents true domestic production. When companies that exceed the standard reject the label, it shows how weak the standard has become. The third and most powerful myth is financial value. Many buyers believe luxury watches are investments. This idea is driven by a small group of popular models that perform well on the resale market. Those few examples create the illusion that all high-end watches appreciate. But for most models, that simply isn't true. Some brands intentionally limit supply of certain watches. They control availability, manage waiting lists, and restrict access. This creates artificial scarcity and drives up demand. Dealers use this system to pressure customers into buying slow-selling inventory, jewelry, or higher-margin products before offering popular models. That scarcity feeds the secondary market, where prices rise far above retail. Those inflated prices become free advertising. They convince buyers that watches are financial assets. In reality, most are not. Luxury watches are what economists call status goods. Their desirability increases with price. The cost itself becomes part of the attraction. Meanwhile, actual production expenses are often a small fraction of retail prices. In many cases, manufacturing represents less than 15% of what buyers pay. The rest is branding, marketing, and profit. And the numbers prove it. Most watches lose value immediately. Many popular models drop between 20 and 35% as soon as they leave the store. Even well-known favorites often fall into double-digit losses. Only a tiny percentage consistently rise over time. For most buyers, these are not investments. They are luxury purchases. When you look at everything together, the pattern becomes clear. In-house is often a flexible label. Swiss-made doesn't guarantee local production. Investment value applies to very few models. That doesn't mean luxury watches are worthless. The engineering is impressive. The design is meaningful. The craftsmanship matters. But buyers deserve transparency. The smartest reason to buy a watch is because you love how it looks, how it feels, and how it fits your life, not because you were sold a story about future profits. So now I want to hear from you. Knowing how these narratives really work, does it change how you view luxury watches? Would you still pay extra for certain labels and claims? Let me know in the comments.